Welcome back to Tank Mastery New World, where I, Ty James, your resident great sword wielding meathead tank. Actually, that went probably a little better than the other videos. Anyways, what I do is I run you through each of the different dungeons and show you how to do the mob pulls, how to position the boss, and all those different things. And today we are doing Empyrean Forge. Now, most of the time in my videos, if you've seen them before, I will record it after getting inside of a pickup group and then just talking through as I'm actually tanking as an unedited coverage of the actual dungeon. Today's going to be a little different because my recording software, while I was recording this particular dungeon, did not pick up my microphone at all. So instead, I'm going to go ahead and play the recording, and I'm going to talk over it and explain everything I'm doing in this particular dungeon, and you can follow along just like the other one. I just wanted to give a disclaimer that it isn't a live recording of the actual gameplay. Instead, it is a recording of a recording. Anyways, let's get into it. So, like I said, this is a pickup group. I do have a Lola Cola with me, which is my usual healer. So I definitely trust him to heal, as always. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first pull all these trash mobs. And I like to take them all the way past the next respawn point and to the door. So I'm going to show you that in a second. It's important that none of your DPS attack any of these mobs. And it's also important that your healer doesn't put like a heal bubble on you, or else they're going to draw the aggro, because you're not really taunting them yet. You're just getting the initial aggro as you run by. So some people will stop at the spawns right there, and these primordial spawns, and tank it right there by the respawn point. I like to bring everybody over here so we can take out all the mobs at once. So I'm going to bring them here to this door, and I'm going to taunt and hold the aggro and keep myself alive as my DPS burns them down. So typically you're going to have yourself as the tank, one healer, and then 3 DPS. So you can have 2 DPS helping burn these people down, and then you want 1 DPS to come up to this door, this seal, and start unlocking the door. But if you look, and I'll show you in a second, one of our DPS is AFK over at the start of the dungeon. See right there, Lyra Darkstone. Either got disconnected or they're just AFK. We weren't sure. So I didn't realize it until afterwards that I'm like, these mobs are taking a lot longer to get burned down. Where's our other DPS? So instead, I start on the door while the Lola Cola uses his life staff to bonk that other mob. His holy light of justice or something. I'm not sure. So you're going to open the door, and right here I stop and I tell my team, hey, stay behind the door. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come and pull everybody in this room, and I'm going to take them over to where that door is. So it's important that your team stays behind the door so they don't pull any aggro, all right? Or else this can go south very, very, very quickly, okay? So I'm going to go up those little stairs real quick, grab that one archer. I'm going to come grab these 3 mobs. I relentless rush to get away from that wall, and then I'm going to come scoop up these mobs right here. And then see that big hammer guy? That guy is like kind of like the named big guy of this thing. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to get this taunt. I notice I didn't pick him up, so I use a heavy attack from Crescent Waves to grab him. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all these mobs on this side of the door, and I'm going to tuck up into this corner. And the reason why I'm going to do that is some of the mobs inside that room are ranged, whether they're clerics or mages or archers. So what I have to do is get out of their line of sight so that they come to the door, so that all of our AoE attacks and all of our damage can hit everybody in a close area. And same thing with the heals, right? So if I have a melee DPS, he could be stacked up on top of me in the heal bubble from a Lola Cola to ensure that his life stays up and he's doing damage same time. But it's just easier to burn everybody down instead of moving from mob to mob to mob. And especially for you as the tank, having to get aggro, having to try and like manage going from one side of the room to the other side of the room, grab the aggro and do all that, right? So that's a cool little trick. It only works if nobody attacks a mob while you're pulling, or nobody uses a heal bubble, so that you can pull the whole room at once. So you're going to come back up here, you're going to make a right, go up these stairs. Then you're going to take these 2 dogs and this mage. You're going to get the aggro from them, and you're going to bring them all the way up to the top of the stairs, grab the skirmisher and this other dog, and these 4 mobs, and you're going to tank them right up here. And then same thing. You see there's a little dome in the center of the ancient Azoth seal. So generally speaking, if we had all of our DPS, we'd want 2 DPS burning these mobs down with me attacking, a Lola healing us, and then our 3rd DPS activating the seal so that we can get through this area a lot faster. But we didn't have that. So one of our DPS decides, hey, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and do the seal anyways. Obviously our tank isn't going to die. So we have 1 DPS on the mobs and our tank's on the mobs. Our healer's good. So I'm just going to go ahead and start the seal. So they unlock the seal for us. And then we continue to burn down these mobs. And then once we finish with this room, we're going to go right back down the stairs. We take down this mage. Once I get him to a certain amount of health, and that's just like the last mob, I'll start heading down the stairs to start the next area, right, to do the pull if I have all my DPS. But unfortunately, like I said, one of our DPS is disconnected, so I stayed to help with that last mage. So I'm going to come back down the stairs. I'm going to go across this room, go up this set of stairs on the other side, and see how the heal bubble was on me. I don't want a heal bubble once I get past this door, right? Because I'm going to start pulling these mobs, and if there's a heal on me, they're going to go ahead and attack the healer, right? So instead, I'm going to hit it like a potion, like a regen pot or maybe a health pot, and I'm going to continue grabbing all these mobs to the other side of this rock right here. And it's kind of the same concept as using the door, is I'm using this rock to get out of the line of sight of the archers and the mage. And you'll see that the archer and mage will come over to me. So boom, mage walked over. Now he's in my aggro range, the ranger, this next mage came, and then boom, here comes the other archer. So now I've got all the range mobs on top of me right here. So it's super easy to get them all hit with AoE, and it's a lot faster to burn them all down instead of kind of like having to run up the stairs to grab the archer and then come back down and grab a regular mob and then back up to another range mob. So once you get through here, somebody else is going to go ahead and talk to the person inside that little room, and that's going to activate this mechanism in this main room. So I'm going to start running back down because I already know the mechanics of this dungeon, and I'm going to get on this button that's going to activate the ancient mechanism code, right? So this button right here, I'm going to go ahead and stand on it. And the code is circle X circle. So I verbally tell my team circle X circle. Because I have a Lola with me, he knows the mechanics. He's going to go ahead and go do the mechanic, which is across the way is that mechanism, and you have to turn the mechanisms to have the seals match what's the seal that I called out. So circle X circle. Once that's done, then it unlocks the main door, and then we're going to come back up here. If you notice, what we had all discussed trying to wait for that 4th or that 5th person to reconnect, but we decided, you know what, just go ahead and kick because we can just get an extra DPS in here and make this go faster. So we're going to come down here. You got to be careful right there where the heal was. He casts this like fire circle on the ground. It's not that it does a lot of damage, but it can knock you off the pathway and into the lava, which will kill you. So as long as you keep that in mind and you kind of dodge through that circle and stay on the path, you don't fall into the lava. But just like the game you play with your kids, floor is lava, it's basically literally lava and it will kill you. So I like to bring this mob right here to the center because as soon as he's done, 2 more spawn and I'm right there to pick up the aggro. And it's just a quick turn and burn and take these 3 mobs down and then you can move on. So we get through the heal here. Super easy, nothing crazy of a fight. It's just another type of named mob. And then we're going to run up these stairs. And we actually picked up a 5th person, so now we have an extra DPS to help burn down these mobs and get us through this dungeon. So these next 2 will also put that same ring of fire. You'll see it in a second right there. If I was to stay in it, or if it was on me while I'm jumping across the lava, it has a chance of knocking me off the platform. And then these pistons right here, if you're in the center of there and it slams down on you, you're kaput. You're smushed. You're dead. You're gone. You're bye-byes, right? So you want to wait for that piston to land. Then you can go climb across it. You're going to come up here, traverse, do a little parkour. Parkour. pretty cool. A lot of ranged DPS like to stay right there and just hit the mobs from here while you're tanking. It's a viable option. Some people like to climb across. Doesn't really matter to me either way. I know I have to go get this aggro, so I'm just going to do the little parkour American Ninja Warrior status. That's probably better than parkour because my guy was like American Ninja Warrior for sure. But I'm just going to tank this same mob to heal. I'm going to tank him down. Alola follows me up here to heal from up top. I'm the only one on the platform taking damage. And then my ranged DPS is taking him down. If you have melee DPS, honestly, it doesn't really matter because it's not like a mini boss. I'm going to come down these stairs. I'm going to go through this next revolving door. And once again, there's another primordial spawn here. We're just going to relentless rush through him. And we're going to run back up these stairs. Get this respawn point. And we're going to make a right up here. And we're going to get to our first boss, Ifrit. Very simple mechanics. But there's a deadly spot that will definitely kill you. And I will show you guys what that is. If you get into this arena all the way, then that spawn doesn't keep attacking you. Unfortunately, he liked Alola because Alola was still on the stairs and wouldn't leave him alone. So we decided, all right, we'll just take this guy out. So once our full team's ready to go, we're going to enter in, and now we're going to face Ifrit. She likes to slam down right here, and if you don't dodge it, you kind of get knocked to the ground. Doesn't do damage, really, but it definitely knocks you down. It's kind of annoying, so I like to dodge it. I'm going to face her away from my team so my team gets the backstab damage. But to my back, you'll see those sonic booms of fire that come out in a line. They don't really do a whole lot of damage if you're pretty tanky. But for the DPS, they're probably going to try and dodge and shuck and jive and get around them. But it's a very simple fight. So she does have a cleave damage. She also does a lava damage around her, which is like a damage over time. So you're going to want to stay in the sacred ground and the beacon or whatever heal, AoE heal that your healer's using. And then right here, I call this the X-Men wave. So basically, like, she puts out a flamethrower on either side of her, and you can continue to attack her as long as you're attacking and moving, because she starts spinning in a circle. And at one point in the fight, she becomes enraged, and you see how now it's an X? What she'll do is she'll start spinning with all four. Now, see how far Troy Buck is from the boss? When she starts spinning, that DPS or anybody that's, healers, they want to be as close to the boss as possible. You see how everybody moves in? Troy Buck didn't. The reason being is you cannot outrun the fire if you're further away. You can definitely outrun it if you're closer to the boss. So you see how I stay nice and tight on top of her? It's so that as she's spinning, that it's not going to hit me. So I can do a couple light attacks here and there, a couple abilities as I'm running, so I can continuously put damage down. So this X she does right here is she does like a slam. All you got to do is kind of move out the way. It doesn't do a whole lot of damage. When you get to like M2, M3, obviously, it's going to hit a little harder. But it's a very, very simple boss fight. So I come up to the door and I start jitter, jagging, shucking, jiving, quick running. Basically, I'm keeping myself loose for this next boss. I got to keep my muscles loose. I'm a meathead, right? So I wait for somebody to open the door. Then I'm going to run across, grab this respawn point, and then we have to deal with the pistons again. So we're going to pause from going on that first one, and we're just going to jam through because it just lifted. And then I'm going to grab these mobs, and I'm going to take them down to the bottom of the staircase, come up to the top, and I'm going to bring them all to this corner where Sir Bishop is, and I'm going to get my taunt, and it's the same concept. I want to line of sight the range mobs so that they are forced to come up the stairs and into the area where the AoE is. At the higher difficulty tiers of the dungeon, these mobs can do a ton of damage. So if, depending on what your build is, just be prepared to either be using your shield or some sort of block. And then sometimes it depends on the healers. Some healers will wait a few seconds after taking all that aggro, or you take all that aggro before they put a heal on you so they don't get popped. But that few seconds could be the difference between life and death. So be prepared with your pot, be prepared with your, a shield or some way to block so you can absorb some of that extra damage. Same thing, we're going to get through this Azoth seal here, and immediately there'll be some mobs at the door. I'm just going to relentless rush through to grab that aggro. And we actually can skip all these guys. Watch out for the pistons. So I'm going to wait for those to open back up. And I'm going to go through. I'm going to drag all these mobs to the edge. I like to do a heavy attack with the Crescent's Wave just to ensure my teammates can run through and ensuring that I have that aggro. Once you have the aggro, you're going to jump down. Those mobs do not follow you down to this lower part. So you see how they're just chilling up top? They're watching their friends get burnt down. That's what they do. They just hang out. So it's important that your team just jumps down, or else if they're up there hanging out, the mobs will instead aggro on them, and you have no way of getting up there to help them because you're sitting there dealing with these other mobs. So once you guys burn those down, you're going to run up here. You're going to grab this skirmisher, and you're going to take them up to this archer, this dog, and this man-at-arms. And I like to bring him over here because that kick that archer can do, if I'm on the backside of him, he can kick me off the platform and I can land in lava. Not fun. So I like to kind of center up right here so that if I do get kicked, I don't fly backwards off the ledge. Trust me, it's happened to me. I wasn't paying attention. All of a sudden I got Spartan kicked into the lava and I had to run back. So I'm going to come grab these mobs after that pull. And I'm going to take them all the way over here, past this cleric, over to this man-at-arms, relentless rush through. Obviously, if you don't have relentless rush, I mean, you can use a different skill. Depending on the difficulty will really depend on where you want to stop with the mob pull, because these mobs can end up hurting quite a bit. I like to make sure that I get the aggro here because I'm going to need to heal before I go down to the next area. So I like to burn down most of the mobs to like a quarter health, half health, and then I move down the stairs over to Sir Ducas and pick up the aggro here. And then I'm going to move over to this rock over to my left. Once I make sure I have all the aggro, I'm going to try and work my way out of line of sight of those archers and those mages that are up on the stairs. You see how they're plinking? So I'm going to pull them over here to this rock, and that's going to force them to run around into the area of the AoE. So I can get another taunt. I'm going to pick up Sir Ducas. I lost his aggro, but now I picked it up again. And if you look, the cleric, the mage, and the ranger are now at the bottom of the stairs, so our DPS can just DPS them down. And my focus is ensuring that this guy's aggro is on me, right? So I have an extra taunt up. I'm going to re-taunt him again. I double check to make sure that nobody on my team is being targeted. And if I have to go pick up that aggro, I'll pick it up. But if I can, I will just want to focus on Sir Ducas. So I'm seeing the cleric is still on me. If you look at his name bar, you see around the bar how it's red, but the primordial spawn right there was gray, and now it's red. If it's red, that means you have the aggro. So a quick way to check to see if you have the aggro is just look at that health bar. See how it's just regular gray? If it's glowing red, that means the aggro's on you. So it's just a quick way to make sure that you're helping your team out. If you look at the mob and they don't have that red border around, see how it's gray? That means somebody else has the aggro, right? If it's red, that means I have it. So if it's gray, I'm going to try and get a taunt or a heavy attack with a Cornelian gem to ensure that I pick up that aggro and keep it. So once the mechanism function is done, we're going to move up these stairs through this door. We're going to pull these skirmishers. And we can skip these mobs. We're just going to pull the aggro so our team can get to Commander Marius, which is the final boss of Empyrean Forge. So we're going to jump down. They do not follow you into the arena. So we're going to stand right here, make sure that our team gets through. Looks like they're doing a great little dodge roll. Once they get in, we're going to come up and we're going to fight Commander Marius. Different people like to approach this fight differently. I like to pick a platform that I want, which is usually the platform where he was, and I make this my home, right? Like I want to keep bringing him back to this platform. The only time I come off of this platform is when he spawns lava under my feet right here, these little volcanoes. I don't want to sit there and have all that lava on top of me, so I'll come out, but then I will immediately go back to my platform, re-taunt, and bring him back. Right? Because I want my DPS to know that they can always get the same back damage and that they can be wherever they decide they want to stand. They can continuously be there without having to worry about him following me and then cleaving them and doing things like that. So at a certain point in the fight, he comes in and he fills the entire arena with lava. He will target somebody that's far away from him, but if you stay on this platform, he will always return back to you. So if you don't go chasing him all over the arena and moving him around, your DPS knows, hey, I know he's always going to come back to that platform. I can just continue, watching the mechanics of like when the ball drops or anything like that, but I know where the boss is going to be. He's going to be back on where the tank is. So I like to hold him here. So when he gets about half health, you see these balls start to drop, and once it lands, it does a crap ton of damage right here. See how that circle is? I need to get out of there, because if I'm right in the middle of that circle, I'm going to take full damage, and I have decent amount of constitution and defenses, and it still does. It hits like a truck. Then once it hits, it starts rolling in a line, kind of like a bowling ball, right? So you don't want to have it smash on you and then drag you and kill you, right? So I like I said, stay on this platform. I'm only moving if the lava is at my feet or if that ball is about to drop on my face. So ball's about to drop on my face, I need to get out of there, right? So I move. I still got hit, but like I said, I'm pretty tanky, so I'm going to get off. I dodge. It still hits me a little bit, but I'm not right in the center, right? Now, if you look, I've got 2 DPS down, and his cleave damage, if somebody tries to res, is going to hit them. So I recognize that, oh, we need somebody to be able to pick these guys up. So I am going to move him out the way once I get this res so that Fantina can get pulled up, right? So they're about to get smushed because they're in the middle of the res, right? So I'm going to pick him back up, and the moment I get a chance to get out of there, I'm going to try and get out of there, all right? So managing your health, face him away, and then I'm going to hold this aggro here. I'm going to go ahead and retaunt, get my defenses up, and then I see, oh, they're up, so I don't have to move again. I can retaunt, bring him back to where I am, so my DPS can move out and they can do what they're supposed to do best, which is just do damage, brainless damage. So if you look, I'm in the middle. I need to dodge. Because I got to the outside corner, it didn't kill me, thank goodness. But now I'm in the middle of again, so I have to try and dodge. It does a significant amount of damage, but like I said, I'm super tanky. But just rule of thumb, you kind of want to dodge that ball as it comes down. But that's it for his mechanics. It's not super difficult. It's nothing that is impossible to do. Just remember, as you get to M2, M3, the damage scaling starts increasing massively, right? And that's how you do Empyrean Forge. There's nothing like too special about it. The main thing is knowing where to position yourself when you do the big pulls so that the cleric, the mages, and the rangers come to you and make a small, tight group of mobs for your AoE DPS to take down all at once. That way it goes nice and smooth. If you got any value out of this video, or you've been enjoying this tank series, I strongly ask that you guys hit the like button, subscribe if you want to see more tank content. I'm going to be uploading all the different expeditions. I already uploaded the Hive of Gorgon tank. I'm going to upload a worm tank soon, to just give you guys the basic idea on how to get through these, where to position mobs, where to take down the boss and stuff like that. And you can see that tanking's fun. It's nothing too intimidating, and hopefully these videos help. And put down in the comments below what's a dungeon that you're struggling with to tank, or something you've always wanted to do as a tank and you don't know how to do it, and I'll see if I can get a video like that done for you guys. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Bye.